Hi, I'm teethdaggers. He's dead, and he doesn't do shit to us. Gaming, IRL streaming. They made a.
Probably gonna want to talk to you, so just heads up. No.
They made a noise. Documentaries and video reactions.
Tommy G conspired with Punchmade Dev to steal money from
Do
fans.
you think the righteous Tommy G could collab self-proclaimed scammer and stage a documentary in order to scam his own fans? Click subscribe with notifications on for new content daily. Join the cult. How do you do that? For this video, it was my dream to date a stripper that was a pole dancer and not a twerker, but she happened to be
Men in Black. Shrouded, mysterious men who appear whenever stories of alien life forms are being broadcasted. To shut the stories down with bribery, gaslighting, or violence.
Be analyzing, reacting to the Men in Black, the government cryptoids by Maverick Files. These videos are really cool. This guy, the last video we watched about him, he pretended like he was actually in the conspiracy and actually believed it. And then he was like, yeah, but if you believe all this, you're fucking crazy. So he turned it around on my ass. And I didn't expect that. So that's why we're getting into this next video by Maverick Files. Let's get right into it!
Before we begin our dive into this phenomenon, I would like to say that the Men in Black theory is so commonly scoffed at that it became not only a massive mainstream comedic trilogy, but even became a kids' cartoon show that aired on Disney. However, there's always been one concept that makes the whole scoffed at theory rather odd. The concept known as a suspension of disbelief. This goes into a rabbit hole in itself, including English lectures and references to poetry, so I'll keep it to layman's terms. When your brain experiences something like a news article or a movie, your brain seems to shut off all logical thinking, simply just so it can remain entertained. Greek philosopher Aristotle even studied this concept with audiences that willingly disconnect logic from reality when watching a play.
Damn, so what he's saying is people who are really bored with life, I guess, will make up scenarios in their head in order to keep their life interesting. And he's also saying that the Men in Black show was based off of the people who actually the conspiracy people came before the show, which actually makes sense. And if people knew that, it would be harder to make fun of the Men in Black people, because I think the biggest way that people make fun of the Men in Black people, well, besides the obvious, but they basically are just copying the real Men in Black anyway. But that being said,
Psychology critic Norman Holland was even once quoted saying, "Humans have such trouble recognizing lies. They first believe, then have to make a conscious effort to disbelieve." But what the fuck are the Men in Black?
well, I wanna fucking disbelieve in that. Some people are like the opposite. Some people, I think it's two different personality types. I think there's skeptics and three different personality types. I think there's skeptics, and then the people who want to believe in everything, and then there's the opposite of skeptics and the people who want to believe in everything. The people who are just naive, who just are down to listen to everything and down to think about it, and then but they don't believe it. But I think the guy's mixing the naive people into the believe everything people, but it's totally different. It's just they're naive because they want to be on purpose. They want to believe the people, but they don't because they're reasonable, rational people. I feel like that's a whole different category.
The ideas run wild with what they actually could be. Are they aliens that work with the government to prevent the population from discovering the truth? Are they secret agents whose entire life purpose is to prevent mass hysteria? Or are they just theories created by the government in order to highlight terroristic threats from happening? Each theory is possible, just the same as they are impossible.
Fuck yeah, guys. So, this is Teeth Daggers Wake and Bake Reactions. Make sure to have your water, your snacks, and your green and your caffeine ready for these reactions.
Men in Black are often described as having olive-colored skin while wearing sunglasses and black jackets that disclose most of their physical appearance. However, UFO historian Jerome Clark has stated that not all men in black will appear wearing black garments. The reasoning behind why remains unknown. The Men in Black's behavior borders on a stalker-like personality. When coming face to face with the victims, these cryptids will provide terrifyingly accurate information about the UFO witness.
The reason he gave that tidbit is because he wants people to, he's building up the idea that, oh, the Men in Black could be everywhere. You know, beware. But then that guy is like UFO expert or whatever, saying that just feeding into like the fear mongering, like he knows exactly what he's doing, unless he actually believes in it. But it's just like making it so these people could be like buy more into their own thoughts, I guess. Like he knows what they want to hear. It's hard to explain.
Almost as if they had been under deep surveillance for years. According to witness testimonies, the Men in Black can appear confused at our slang terms and day-to-day utensils, such as pens and forks. These testimonies range wildly, and don't often cover the same details as other encounters. When they appear, they first display interest in the story, as if they are simply recording the story for their agency, but within a short time, their behavior changes, and it becomes clear that they are there to suppress the witness, one way or another. A common idea is by gaslighting the witness into thinking that their encounter never happened in the first place. And whenever confronted, these Men in Black state that they are either with the US Air Force or the CIA, and some.
See how he's kind of making it seem like scary and dark and like, oh my god, this might be legitimate. I'm covering it in a way that seems like it's legit. I hate to blow the ending for you guys, but I gotta do it. He's about to say, yeah, fuck that. You're all crazy. I mean, I think he already got into it a little bit. Like, people who are bored with life like to entertain themselves with weird shit.
Sometimes can even provide a presentable ID to the witness. But according to several experiences, when verification of said ID is looked into, it becomes clear that the people in those IDs either never existed or have previously passed away. Theories about the origins of the Men in Black, as stated earlier, range wildly. The idea that these cryptids are confused by daily household items and human phrases helps implement the concept that they themselves are not human. Furthermore, it could be paired with the theory that these are aliens who perhaps are working together with the US government to prevent evidence from being publicized. The other theory about the Men in Black being from a deep state secret agency can also hold its ground, as one could say that they are trying to de-escalate public freakouts and decreasing the risk towards the nation's security. Please remember that these are simply theories. After doing some research, I discovered that the Men in Black actually share an uncanny.
Guys, do you see how he does it? So he uses the chillest one, and he hints at that one that is simply only allegations, but he does mention it, like trying to be fair, but he's being really manipulative, but in a good way. He's trying to be like, yeah, those simple ones are the only allegations. These other ones, because he said it right after the simple one, right? kind of making it seem like if you misunderstood it, he wants some people to misunderstand it on purpose. Also for comments. Also for the comment section, so they mentioned that. But what's happening here is like he's trying to even give you more of the feeling that he actually believes in the other crazier ones. And he gets you all into it, like, oh, here we go, we're gonna watch a crazy conspiracy theory.
Any relation to folklore legends about the devil. It's believed that the Men in Black concept began being reported in the 1950s and 60s. However, some researchers, such as John Keel, have highlighted similarities between these reports and old stories about dealing with demonic entities. John Keel suggested that Men in Black are modern-day manifestations of the same phenomena that were earlier interpreted as the devil. In both reports and
all these people mixing things up into it are making it so people could always feel like they're right with their own conclusion. Like, oh yeah, this is the devil thing. Oh yeah, this is an alien thing. Oh yeah, this is a government thing.
retellings of encounters. It always comes across that neither the Men in Black nor the devil are ever quite human, and that witnesses often discover this fact midway through an encounter. Whether it's finding out that the silver-tongued dealer suddenly has goat legs, or that the quote-unquote news reporter gathering information actually have olive-colored skin. The meaning of this parallel, however, has been the subject of debate, and could simply just be of wild coincidence. A coincidence that goes even further on when you look into Salem witch times, and discover that the term "the black man" was used to describe the devil, or agents of the devil.
He keeps doing it. So first he was like, so that's just a rumor. We're talking about the easier one, plus all the other ones he mentioned. He's actually saying those are just rumors too. But then right after he says that's just a rumor, he's taking like the furthest off one, the devil one, like the craziest one, and he's like, yeah, well, these are just rumors too, but this one is crazy, all these coincidences. But I'm promising you guys, the reason we're watching this is because he's about to switch it up. Let's see.
I'm gonna pause right here and say to keep in mind, it wasn't the word black, but rather the much more offensive word. However, the use of the term did not relate to African descent whatsoever, but rather, it meant the entity appeared to them literally colored in black, or wearing black outfits. Two prime examples, as pointed out by academic.com, was the story The Devil and Tom Walker, in which, in the story, Tom asks the black man who he is. The man begins to spin a story as he beats around the bush, saying that since the Indians are gone, he watches over the acts of various religious people, and is the master of the Salem witches. Tom replies that he must be Old Scratch, which was a common slang nickname for the devil, to which the black man acknowledges that he is, in fact, the devil. The other prime example is from H.P. Lovecraft, when he used the black man as a synonym for the devil in his book, The Dreams in the Witch House. Lovecraft also goes on to use the same term for his entity, Nyarla.
He probably just meant it as like the like black as in evil. Black heart.
The crawling chaos. I probably got that wrong, but you get the point. Holy shit. I wonder if Lovecraft's cat wasn't named as like a gag, but rather because he was literally naming his cat the devil, since cats were often thought of as being agents of the devil. Anyway, off topic. The point I was getting at is, the Men in Black theory shares quite the odd similarities to folklore tales about meeting the devil. The devil would appear when you're at your most vulnerable, offering you a life-altering deal at the cost of your soul. The Men in Black would appear when you are at your most vulnerable, offering you a peaceful, non-violent life if you just keep your mouth shut. I mentioned it fleetingly earlier, but there is the theory that the Men in Black are government agents from a secretive branch out to protect the nation's security. Famous UFOologist William Moore stated that the Men in Black belong to a secret unit of the Air Force, known as the Air Force Special Activities Center. However, it's speculated that this theory stems from a false breadcrumb that was spread by the US government, referred to in the movie Mirage Men.
My supervisors told me, listen, we don't want him to go out to the public, go on camera and say, hey, I just tapped into a secret laser on Kirtland Air Force Base. Obviously, we can't have that happen. So all I had to do was say, well, you know what, Pa? Maybe what you did see was UFOs.
In which the government purposely fabricated UFO stories and fictional details and fed them to popular UFOologists to throw them off trail. The reason for this was simply because the government was afraid that conspiracists would begin snooping into Air Force secret files and publicize details that would be deemed as detrimentally unsafe during the Cold War era. John C. Sherwood would go on to write a book titled Gray Barker, My Friend, the Mythmaker, describing the time at the fresh young age of 18. John cooperated with Gray Barker as Gray urged him to develop a hoax story, in which Barker published. The false story entailed what Barker called Black Men, 3 mysterious UFO inhabitants who silenced Sherwood's secret identity, Dr. Richard H. Pratt. If it was not implied already, this story was entirely made up by Gray Barker. And John...
Oh, that's happened a lot. Like, there was a long time ago, if you look into it, like maybe right around World War II times, there was like a radio show that didn't mention that they were just telling a story. And it was kind of a social experiment, but there was like a disclaimer, I think. Or maybe there was no disclaimer. Maybe that was the crazy thing. But I think maybe it was on a radio station that was straight fictional or something. Or maybe there wasn't. Maybe it was straight up an experiment against the people. But basically, they would tell a story like it was real. Basically, like it was a news broadcast about what was happening to the, like, what the aliens were doing in, like, LA, I think. And everybody in LA, well, and I forgot what they did. I think they didn't broadcast it to their city, and they broadcast it to the outside cities. I forgot exactly how it worked, but there was something like this, where it was just a story, but everybody believed it was real. And something tells me that people are going to buy into this one, too.
And was used as means to publish a fake story for either discrediting purposes or to throw off theorist fanboys. But this is not the only encounter with the Men in Black. September 1976. Dr. Herbert Hopkins was home alone at his main residence, choosing to work on a UFO case while his family went out to the theater for the evening. Shortly after his venture into the case, Hopkins would receive a phone call from a stranger who claimed to belong to a regional UFO investigative group project. The man proclaimed a strong interest in the same exact case and asked if he could visit Hopkins.
He is suspicious about things like pens, apparently, but he'll call... See, the people who do these conspiracy theories don't even think about this. They're like, they called me on my phone and they were scared of the pens.
That evening to discuss it. Usually, Hopkins would be skeptical and closed off about his research, but for some reason, that night, Hopkins agreed. Only minutes later, the man arrived. Hopkins' house has a glass door, so it caught him by surprise to not see anyone through the door. Yet after opening it, there approached a man in what was described as wearing a dark navy suit, with dark gray gloves and a bowler-style hat. He would later go on to state that he didn't even see a car, nor were there any phone booths nearby. Curiosity leading him forward, Hopkins invited the man inside, and they discussed the case. Or, I guess I should say, Hopkins discussed the case. The man simply sat and listened, only responding seldomly by saying,
"Yes, that's how I understand it."
At one point, the visitor managed to brush his mouth with the back of one of his suede gloves, which revealed a red mark, lipstick, on the back of the glove. Hopkins found this strange, and having his attention now drawn to the stranger's mouth, he found that the man appeared to have no lips.
Or it was blood from people up in the freezer, meat freezer.
As most would have. But instead, only a thin slit on his face. The lipstick, Hopkins theorized, had been worn to help create a lip-like appearance for a mouth, in which, in truth, he had none at all. During the conversation, Hopkins had his hands in his pockets, and the visitor suddenly commented that there were 2 coins in Hopkins' pocket. Able to confirm that 2 coins were indeed in his pocket, Hopkins was then asked to take out the coins. Then, while holding them in his hand, Hopkins began to watch as one of the coins would take on an odd, quote-unquote, fuzzy appearance. Then, within seconds, the coin vanished.
Neither you nor anyone on this plane will ever see that coin again.
The visitor reportedly said. He wanted to know if Hopkins knew how Barney Hill, a UFO witness and abductee, had died. Hopkins said that he believed it had been a heart attack, to which the visitor interrupted.
Barney Hill died because he did not have a heart. Just as you no longer have a coin.
Afterwards, the visitor would begin to interrogate Hopkins about his recent UFO case. He never asked questions.
This sounds like one of those creepy Reddit stories that you get read out loud to help you fall asleep or whatever.
He would only speak as if he already knew all of the details that Hopkins had. He didn't ask me. He didn't tell me. He was not told with anger, persuasion, nor with any indignation. He did not say he would come back or anything, Hopkins said. He would know when I'd done that. Gotten rid of the tapes. Eventually, the visitor would leave, with Hopkins commenting that his demeanor had changed. He became slower with responses, spacing out his words further apart, before finally announcing,
My energy is running low. Must go now. Goodbye.
The visitor got up and began to leave the house, with Hopkins commenting that his walking was almost robotic in nature.
Dude, it's just, this guy just watched a fucking movie and explained the story. That's why I keep trying to skip it, but it keeps going on.
Albert Bender was famously known for his love of the uncanny, even going as far as having an attic made out of fake skulls, shrunken heads, and disturbingly bizarre art, which he titled the room The Chamber of
Alright, well, they're basically saying he's a little odd, if not crazy.
Horrors. However, one of his more infamous interests was his love for the unexplainable flying saucer reports, eventually going and forming the International Flying Saucer Bureau.
The dead skull heads are less infamous than him caring about UFOs?
In 1952, referred to as the IFSB. Shortly after creating the group, Bender would begin to face his own unexplainable occurrences, sudden illnesses, strange and unsettling phone calls, sulfuric odors suddenly emanating from the attic, and even claimed to have received telepathic messages. Bender would begin to feel that he was being watched, stating that he himself had personally witnessed UFO sightings over southern Connecticut. But these unexplainable happenings would not stop Bender from digging further. He wanted to attempt to combine his research on UFOs with the concept of mental telepathy, and on March 15, 1953, known as World Contact Day, the IFSB would attempt their first telepathic message. Bender had written and sent out a penned letter asking all recipients to silently recite what he had written, and the message goes as follows. Calling occupants of interplanetary craft. Calling occupants of interplanetary...
Alright, we're gonna skip these fucking Reddit stories, guys. That's all they are, is Reddit stories. He's adding them in. I'll tell you why he's adding them in. Because he's not telling you what he's doing, but he's letting the viewer make their own decision about these guys. And he's assuming that most viewers who watch his channel, he assumes that some of them are here for the conspiracy theory to get debunked. So if it does get debunked, they won't get mad. He assumes like 5% will get mad and leave a comment about it, which is just enough. like, those people are right. We've seen those stories that happened to us. How can you make it seem crazy? But that's what I'm getting at. He's not saying they're crazy, but he's saying all these things that don't matter to paint the picture of who they are, so you can kind of like, he's leading you in a certain direction without saying it. And everybody's gonna get that vibe. You should have that same vibe by now too, which is why the 5% of people who are here to be like, no, those are real, are probably getting mad at this. But it's just for that. It's just for that. He's basically making you decide that if they're crazy or not. But I don't want to watch all these Reddit fucking. We'll skip past. We'll skip past the Reddit ones. Here's where the Reddit ones get, I think. Stop.
Famous for helping pioneer Saturday Night Live, actor Dan Aykroyd would end up developing his own show for the Sci-Fi Channel in the dawn of the 2000s. The show was titled Out There, and on the set of the final episode, Dan steps outside for a smoke break as he goes to answer a call from Britney Spears, discussing a future SNL appearance.
Well, what happened? We sold the show to Sci-Fi Channel, and it was called Out There, and I basically interviewed all of the people that I admired in various fields of study, like Colin Andrews from the Crop Circle movement, Linda Moulton Howe, the expert on cattle mutilations, John Mack. And let me just put a pin in things right there, because John Mack has taken the study of abductions, UFOs, right out through the other.
Whoa, I had no idea. I know who this guy fucking is. I've seen him on TV before, and I had no idea he was like so serious about whatever this is. This type of fucking shit. Wow, amazing.
Side, and he's going, yes, we know they're here. We know they're coming. We know people have been taken. We know there's experimentation going on. We know people have been told about agendas. What we now have to do is use that as a key and as a motivation to socially transform this planet to a more peaceful, more loving, more tolerant state. So
well, fuck it. If they have a good... See, some views I'm not exactly agreeing with in life, but... And they're major views. I just don't want to mention anything I don't think are real. Let me just put it that way so you kind of know what I'm talking about. But they kind of just say, be nice to everybody. And then there's some people like me who don't think they're real, who just because they don't think they're real automatically thinks it makes people dumber if they believe in it, which is not true. It's a cultural thing and an option people make within themselves. And a lot of people have come across all those questions, and then they still decided it's real. The people who decided it's not real aren't special at all. It's just like a different. It's just different. And I'm one of them who decided it's kind of not real. But the thing is, there's people like me who are like, well, you're dumber and you're ruining society because you believe it's real. And I hate that, because it's like, no, you're making the people like me look bad. Those people aren't ruining society. All they're saying is be nice to your neighbor. That's literally all they're saying. They're not saying anything dumb. And, you know, the people like me, you need to look at that, because the people who have certain beliefs, that's literally all they're saying. They believe in this thing because they want everybody to be nicer. They're like, be nice. Basically, they're just really big nerds. Even if they are like gangsta nerds. Yeah, they're just like, be nice to each other, guys. We learned this in kindergarten.
His movement, the movement for social change, has just accepts as a fact abductions, UFOs, interplanetary intervention, and what he's doing is taking it out through the positive side of it and saying, Now we must use it to socially transform, and I think his message is great. But I talked to him, I talked to the Allagash guys who were taken in the canoe on that trip in Pennsylvania.
My name, well, maybe I shouldn't say it, but that guy just said my fucking name, basically. Holy shit. Good thing you guys don't know how to spell it.
I mean, and the last show we did, I had both Bassett, who has the UFO time clock, and then Greer. Both Bassett and Greer were there. They were my two guests for the day. Well, the show was canceled that afternoon. And I was outside, before I knew it was canceled, in between the interviews. And I was outside, and Britney Spears called me because she wanted me to appear on Saturday Night Live with her. And so I was outside having a cigarette, the phone rang. Oh, Brittany, how you doing? Oh, sure, of course I will. I turned away like this. I turned back, and there was a black Ford across the road, a black Ford sedan. And I was trying to look at the plate, and the plate seemed kind of like fuzzy, and I was, definitely a police car. And two guys were there, and a big, tall guy got out of the back seat. And he stood in the street on 42nd Street it was. We were at 42nd Street and 8th Avenue. And he looked right at me. And literally, I mean, I was on the phone. Hey, oh, sure, of course I'd love for the show. Saw the Ford, went back like this, turned back like a half second later, and it was gone. And that car did not go past me. It did not make a U-turn, because I would have seen 42nd Street. I would have seen that thing take a U-turn.
Well, how the fuck did he know what it was? It could have just been a regular-ass black car. Cop car. I believe that he knew it was a cop car. You know what the hell? Especially since he's a celebrity. It could have been anybody. It could have been not a cop impersonating a cop thinking about robbing the guy. Like, come on, dude.
U-turn and go away. That car vanished. That car was a cloaked vehicle of some type. And whether this was like a warning to me, because the guy got out of the back seat, gave me a real dirty look. That car vanished. I know what I saw. And
all of a sudden, he gave him a dirty look? God, man.
It was just this fast. It was, oh, hi, Brittany, sure. Oh, of course, I'd love to. Guy gives me a dirty look. Oh, well, sure. Car gone. That's what happened. And then 2 hours later,
oh, I see.
we were told we were not to continue taping, and the show was canceled, and none of them would air. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Confused,
Well, then it could have been anybody in the industry. What the fuck? How did he come to the conclusion, oh, this guy is going to fucking use this, I think. More of the typing. Okay, good. I think at the end right here is when he's going to go to how it's all fake. Fuck, maybe not. It's just a lot of typing, it looks like. Alright, let's see.
Dan finishes his phone call and returns to the studio to finish up the last episode, only to learn that his show had suddenly been cancelled and he was ordered to stop filming immediately. All 8 episodes have never been aired, and to this day, Dan Aykroyd strongly believes that there is a connection between the Black Ford, the mysterious figure, and the cancellation of his show. The story originally begins from witness Ken Arnold, as in June 1947, he claimed that he saw 9 shiny UFOs flying at speeds estimated at 12,000 miles per hour. His story gained him mass fame, allowing him to go out and investigate the original area. There, Arnold would interview another fellow witness, Harold Dahl. Dahl described seeing 6 donut-shaped objects in the sky just 3 days prior to Arnold's experience, even watching as one began to, quote-unquote, almost shed off its skin. He described it as watching thousands of newspapers fall before realizing that it was many shards of metal falling to Earth. Afterwards, little rocks would begin falling out of the sky, breaking his son's arm, and ending with killing Harold's dog. The family returned home, bruised and terrified. Dahl told the story to his boss and friends, only to then be visited the next morning by a mysterious man dressed in all black. The stranger began telling Dahl's story in magnificent detail to Dahl.
Dude, his coworkers probably thought that Some of them probably thought he was crazy. That's what makes me think that this story isn't real. It's just another Reddit story. Because you gotta put yourself in his shoes. Why would you go up to your boss and be like, hey, I saw aliens and they killed my dog? Skipping this Reddit story. His last video is so much better, guys. I'm sorry.
Earlier in this video, I discussed a connection between folklore and the myth of Men in Black, which was originally highlighted by folklorist Peter Rochowitz. He himself, though, has also had his own experience with these very cryptids. However, for either privacy's sake or for entertainment purposes, in Peter's story, he went by the name of Michael Elliott, assumingly out of fear of his story coming true, once more for him. It's 1987. Theories about the Men in Black have existed for over 3 decades by this point, and Michael, or Peter, was keen on listening to UFO stories. So one night, Michael enters the University of Pennsylvania's library and loses himself in tales and stories about these flying saucers.
Alright guys, so he's just telling a bunch of Reddit stories, and before he tells the Reddit stories, he basically gets into how they're already into these conspiracy theories, and the reason he's getting at it is because, remember in the very beginning of the video how he said people get bored so they like to believe in stuff? That's what the whole video is about. My prediction for the ending is he's gonna say these were all they all had the time to be infatuated with this stuff, because look at me, I'm streaming this stuff, but these guys weren't even streaming. They didn't have any goals or anything in mind. They just were bored after work. They were tired and they just put on some fucking videos and got it down the rabbit hole of the videos late night, 2-3 o'clock in the morning. They probably looked up some stuff online and they were like, oh shit, the video has this information in it. Oh, I'm on to something. And a lot of people like to think that they're special, or that they're the one. And everybody is special. And I'm not just saying that. Everybody is super unique in their own way. Like when they go home and they're in their own thoughts, not one single person's going to be the same. Not one. Every different circumstance has even if there was 2 of the same exact people cloned together and they copied each other's moves, it would be different because one of them would have to do something first, because it's impossible to do everything at the same time unless there was some way. But now that would be a complete fantasy world. But anyway, motherfuckers, basically he's just gonna say these guys were bored, had too much time on their hands, got all into this fucking shit, and look, more, this is another one. Paul Miller is another one. Look, it's another encounter and experience. This Danny motherfucker. Another encounter and experience. The Reddins. Okay, I'm glad I'm checking this out. Alright, here we go. Okay, the Reddins actually has video footage. But I still don't want to watch their whole fucking story.
Men in Black for themselves. And sure enough, he was there, staring ahead with black sunglasses, a long black coat, and a voided stare. Beckley, in the midst of the busy morning traffic, managed to secretly capture a photo of the strange man, which he believes is one of the few authentic photos of a genuine man in black.
Wait, people can't wear business suits and glasses anymore? That just looks like a regular 50s guy. Or this car is 60s, so that just looks like a regular 60s guy.
The idea about theories is that instead of being instantly believed, there should always be ways on how to debunk them.
Here we go. He usually just does this halfway through. He's about to be like, all these guys are crazy. Finally!
Because despite what the internet has built it up to, a theory is simply just that. A theory. An idea. Aligned coincidences and nothing more. People demanding headlines about their quote-unquote real stories has been such a common happening for so long that the Men in Black stories easily blend in. And, of course, as always, there's never any evidence because somehow it always vanishes.
Oh, and that's actually a good point. A theory is just like, it is nothing more. He explained it in the most simple, beautiful way. A theory is just a theory. It's like what people all say together on the internet. They line up, but they're probably researching the same sort of things. Like all those guys that we just watched were all researching the same sort of things.
It's a poor excuse or a poor attempt as an excuse, similar to my dog ate my homework, and it should not be accepted so easily. And yet, seemingly, it is. And one last thing that bothered me about some of these encounters is how many of them went, "Hey, listen to my story, it's completely true. Oh, look at this, public fame and nationwide attention. Buy my products. Okay, enough of the fame. Hey guys, I was just kidding, it was all a lie, I was making it up." And then several years later, it's just, "I kinda miss when people were buying my products. Hey guys, it's actually true again. Plus more conspiracies." But that's just me being an
Hell
ass.
yeah, guys. And if you enjoyed that show, it's called Men in Black, the Government Cryptoids by Maverick Files. Go type it into YouTube if you want to watch it in its entirety. Go give Maverick Files a thumbs up if you liked that video. I kind of didn't, but I do like this guy. I'm going to give him another chance. And that being said, hell yeah, thank you for watching this episode of Teeth Daggers Wake and Bake / video analyzation. Make sure to subscribe below. Episodes every day.
Find me at twitch.com/teethdaggers.